I will, hang on, sorry. I'll ask the Chief Executive Officer to read recommendations from the closed meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the subject of item 6.1, proposal from Greyhound Breeders Owners and Trainers Association, Council resolved, 1, that Council declines the offer received from the Greyhound Breeders Owners and Trainers Association for the establishment of a Greyhound Centre of Excellence at the former trotting track located at 32 Perth Griffin Way, Orange, and that Council authorise the CEO to enter negotiations with the Greyhound Breeders Owners and Trainers Association on the terms delegated to the CEO by Council at the closed meeting of 17 October. Item 6.2, Council resolved that the information in the report on submission redactions be acknowledged. On item 6.3, subject of tender for the construction of the Orange Regional Conservatorium and Planetarium, Council resolved, 1, that Council resolved the preferred tenderer for the construction of the Orange Conservatorium and Planetarium, tender number F39832, is Renaissance Australia Pty Limited, subject to agreement on the final tendered amount. 2, that Council delegate the Chief Executive Officer or his nominee to finalise the tendered amount with Renaissance Australia as detailed in this report. That a contingency be approved for the project as detailed in this report. That Council approve its contribution to the project of up to $18.5 million, including contingency of Council funds, which is comprised of proceeds of sale from 73A Hill Street when that occurs, proceeds from property sales as determined by the CEO and Chief Financial Officer, and a combination of external borrowings and internal borrowings subject to ministerial approval to a level required to meet the funding for the project. And 5, that Council grant permission to the Chief Executive Officer or his nominee to do such things as may be necessary or convenient to give effect to this decision, including affixing the Council seal on any relevant documents. Under item 6.4, Redmond Place Gateway Site Residential Development Project Delivery Agreement, Council resolve, 1, that Council approves participating in the project with Landcom on the terms described in the report for the development Council-owned land at the Gateway site, Redmond Place, Orange, being land identified as A Lot 1 DP 153167154 Lone Pine Avenue, B Lot 200 DP 1288388 5255 Mitchell Highway, C part of Lot 6 DP 728113 Redmond Place, Orange, including the former hangar and its immediate surrounds. 2, that Council approves the key terms of the project delivery agreement between Orange City Council and Landcom for the development of the Gateway site, Redmond Place, Orange, described in the report. That Council authorises the Chief Executive Officer of Council to negotiate and finalise that project delivery agreement described in the report to give effect to the project, including all matters that the Chief Executive Officer considers require amendment, alteration or clarification to his satisfaction, and that Council resolved to sign the PDA by affixing the common seal of Council where required. Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, are free to leave.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. You guys can go. I'll move on. Just wait a couple of minutes till everyone leaves. Yeah, I think they're trying to work out what happened.
I'm not sleeping.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4.2. Councillor Duffy. Sorry?
I was talking to a councillor about sleeping.
Notice of motion, Councillor Floyd, Bush Summit.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second it.
Wow.
Out of sufferance.
Oh, hang on. So Councillor Peterson is on Zoom with Councillor Kinghorn. Can you hear me, Councillor Peterson?
I can, thank you. Sorry for my early departure.
All good. Councillor Floyd.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, my notice of motion tonight is that Council 1 liaise with the organisers of the Bush Summit to discuss the opportunity for Orange to host this event when next in New South Wales. 2, discuss with the event organisers what is required to host such an event and examine the infrastructure Orange and surrounding areas have in place to ensure that we can successfully hold a function of this magnitude. And 3, knowing the event may not be back in New South Wales for a number of years, report to the Chamber a timeframe, requirements to be met by Orange City Council and any other information that could put us in good stead to attract this summit to Orange. Costings, of course, can be forthcoming closer to the event. So basically, when I put this together, Mr Mayor, I was actually unaware that this Bush Summit, which has been in New South Wales now for quite a number of years, was actually being transferred to go around, basically around Australia for all the states to have a go at it as well. So my initial thoughts behind this was it was going to be in New South Wales only, but I still think on the back of this, because it's such a big event for the bush, that we still just try and get on the front foot with this as best we can, just get some idea of what has to go into it, what can happen. As my background there says, you get the Prime Minister of the day coming out to be a keynote speaker in this thing. We have a range of industries: agriculture, mining, resources, health, education, employment, business and technology. We have all heads coming into the town, into an area to talk about stuff that directly affects us here in the bush. And I think it's a good thing that Orange gets on the front foot and we get prepared to put in a tender or whatever we've got to do to get this Bush Summit to come out here when the time is right.
Thank you, Councillor Floyd. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll speak in favour of the motion. I think it's a good initiative of the part of Councillor Floyd. We've established in the Chamber that conferences are an area that Orange is lacking. We've got now a couple of new venues coming on board that may or may not be able to cater to this sort of event. So I think it's worth throwing our hat in the ring. In the event that we discover we're not able to host it, it shows the importance that someone, whether it be public or private sector, needs to invest in this sort of facility so we can host these types of events.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm going to support this resolution. I think it's a great resolution. Believe it or not, it's where I have my bipartisan agreement, because this was originally set up by the National Party, which is a great resolution actually, because it brings a group of people of all different persuasions is what it is. I mean, it'll give the opportunity of Woolies and Coles and Qantas to put some money into our city, and I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
And I vote, Councillor. Tilly mentioned that.
I'll speak for it. I think it's fantastic. The one that was recently held in Tamworth got plenty of publicity. Yeah, good idea. Let's put our hat in the ring. We mightn't get it, but let's put our hat in the ring anyway and see if we can do it. Thanks, Councillor Floyd. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. I'll move on to item 4.3, which is notice of motion from Councillor Peterson.
Just due to background noise here, I've asked if the CEO could be kind enough to read the motion and just a brief paragraph of background.
So he wants.
So yeah, you read it out, and then that'll be part of the motion. Then I'll get a seconder.
So Councillor Peterson wanted me to read it. So the motion being that future minutes of the Audit and Risk Management Committee meetings or other appropriate documentation, he added a slight thing, include financial statements such as discussed in background notes to help present an objective and clear appraisal of Council's financial position. Councillor Peterson writes, I'm interested in having understandable trendline financial information frequently available to us. The manner of how this is presented is not as important. Receive some financial information ready through the quarterly budget update and in the financial statement reports. Some of the figures discussed in the recent special rate variation briefing that I requested don't seem to be there. They were the numbers used to justify our financial health, and with the figures common to board financial papers. Rather than councillors giving specifics, figures could be added. Can I put forward the spirit of the motion for more of these financial markers being reported and let the actual financial professionals amongst staff see what could be usefully added in?
I'll second the motion, because then we can discuss it. Anyone want to discuss it? I like the motion because I think the more we can get those financial reports and there's lots of numbers and all, the more we can sort of simplify it for us to read. I think anything's better than what we get at the moment. So, yeah, I'll fully support it.
I'll speak, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I'll speak for it. But what I would say, it's probably any councillor can go along to the Audit and Risk Committee, which is really good to go to. You don't get a vote; you're an observer because it's already got delegated.
I invite all councillors to come along to those meetings.
They're run by an independent chair and I think
Bill Gahuli
there as well. So it gives you a really good insight into because the Audit and Risk Committee just doesn't do financial risk; it does all risk within council. So the CEO and the delegated directors have to basically report back to the chair and the committee. So it's a very interesting committee to be on, and a very interesting committee. It gives you a lot of insight into the operational aspects of council. Sometimes we don't see as councillors as chamber, right? Because it's a lot of information.
Well, and our chair at the moment, Robert
Legator.
Very good, very good. He is excellent. He's brought a lot of new ideas which we've taken up. So yeah, Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I agree with some of the comments from the staff comment here from the CEO. I would probably like to think that this would go to the ARIC committee to have a bit of a discussion before we act on that, because most of these reports do come to council. Probably not when we actually want them, but we only meet probably 4 times a year. I think ARIC meets. And they're part of that. And sure, Robert Legator is a very competent person, but also Bill Gahuli. Bill Gahuli is the former CEO of the New South Wales Local Government Association. He's very switched on. So it's a pretty good committee, actually. I think, as I mentioned in the chamber before, that the last committee is probably one of the best committee meetings I've had of the ARIC committee ever, actually, in the whole time that I've been on it. And, as I said, I'm quite happy for the resolution to go to the ARIC committee and report back to council on what their findings are, to have those specialised people make a comment on it.
Councillor Duffy. There being no other speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, before I go on, I need a mover that we go half an hour or whatever extra. Councillor Evans, Councillor McDonald, all those in favour? Unanimous?
I'm happy to move all of them as read.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5, which is general reports and the recommendations from the last policy committees. Can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Floyd, second by Councillor Greenhalgh. Any speakers? There being no speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 5.2.
Okay, I've got to go for 5.2 and 5.3.
Right, go and have a cup of tea, Councillor Kinghorn.
Can do that, and a Portuguese tart.
Yep. Fuck you.
Get a shot of ouzo.
Tell me, is Councillor Kinghorn gone? Yep. Okay, 5.2, which is DA application for 5 Curum Avenue. Can I have a mover?
Yeah, I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Duffy. Any speakers? There being no speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. 5.3. DA 273-285 Peasy Street, 155 Mart Street. Can I have a mover? Councillor Mallard, Councillor Floyd. Any speakers? Councillor Peterson.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully I won't drop out. Look, just at the this would be a great useful addition to Accommodation Orange. With the previous council meeting on September 5, I noted there was 4 other hotel developments that were approved but not being actioned on. Is there anything we can do if we approve the DA to incentivise swift completion of this project?
Mr. Hodges.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not really. The development consent process is reliant on private capital investment, so it's a matter for the developer. The applicant has 5 years from the time of consent to commence the development, and then the consent lasts forever after that, but no other incentives you could really apply.
Councillor Mallard.
And related to that, my question through you, Mr. Mayor, was do we have any updates on any of those hotel and motel DAs that have been approved? I know the cinema has been undergoing works, but any sign of the others like the Mid-City redevelopment, the one up near the Summer Centre, the one across the railway line.
Through you, Mr. Chair, can I take that on notice? Because I'm privy to some private information. Sorry, Mr. Hodges. Meeting went too long.
All good. Any other speakers? There being no other speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous. Can we call Councillor Kinghorn back in, please? Sorry, she is two. I thought it was just the two DAs.
The two DAs,
5.4.
5.2 and 5.3.
Oh, well, she was in for 5.
No, who's gone?
So, yeah, no, she...
It's late.
No, she's come back. Yeah. Strategic policy review.
Wait for Councillor. Get back on the bakery. Back on the bakery, Councillor Kinghorn. Okay. 5.4 Strategic Policy Review. Moved by Councillor Whitten. Seconded by Councillor Greenhouse. Councillor Duffy.
I've just got a question, Mr. Mayor, as regards to the non-returning of cultural things. If they've already received a tax deduction, what happens if they haven't received a tax deduction?
Chair, take it on notice unless anyone's... Take it on notice.
Okay, if it needs to come back, it can come back, will it? We pass this tonight and it needs to be addressed, we'll bring it back. Thank you.
There being no other speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? I think we've lost Councillor Peters. Against. 4. Passed. Whatever. 5.5, which is the Community Participation Plan. Can I have a mover, please?
Going to move it.
Councillor Mallard moved it. Seconder by Councillor Power. Any speakers? There being no speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Miss. 5.6 Progress Report Delivery Program Operational Plan 2022 to 2023. Can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Floyd. Seconder? Councillor Whitten. Any discussion? Councillor Kinghorn.
Oh, yes, I've just got a few questions. So first one, page 275, which is about tree planting. It talks about the report estimated that Orange has an urban canopy of 1,717.3%, like now 7% and Spring Hill 4.9. Is that a typo or is there a different way of measuring? Oh, it is. Okay. All right. So it's what meant to just be 17.3 or something, is it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Page 301, which is about the Cargo Road Ploughman's Lane intersection, where they've got 3 options, and I think the preferred option is traffic lights because it's cheaper. But I was just curious about, it might be cheaper to put traffic lights in than a roundabout, but do they take into account the ongoing costs when they make decisions on things like that?
Mr. Greenham's coming to the mic quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you're considering traffic lights, they're administered by Transport for New South Wales, and they charge an estimated cost of the 10 years for the maintenance of those traffic lights upfront.
So when we decide, we do take that into account when we decide that traffic lights are cheaper than roundabouts, even though hopefully they'll last longer than 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, all right. While you're there, I've got a couple more questions. Page 303, which was about parking patrols and how many infringement notices and how many warning rather than an infringement.
I'll pass that on to Director Mark Hodges. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm just reading the note to check what it is. Yeah, we've taken over the last couple of years, really since COVID, a different approach in the enforcement. So we give out a lot of warning notices in particular areas. So our computer systems allow us to do it. So that's reflected in that. And you still see we're giving out a fairly good, like a reasonable number of infringements, which keep people moving. But it's all about education. So we think that's still achieving what we need to with it.
Yep, that's fine. I've got no complaints, but just curious. I'm back to footpaths now, page 307. I was just curious. I had somebody who had sent into council a request for a footpath out the front of her place because her husband's a bit less mobile now, and she lives in Casey Street. And she got back a letter, which eventually at the bottom did say they were hoping to have it done by 2030. But this is an 80-year-old lady who was essentially at the top of the letter said that the program takes 130 years. So of course that's what she read. I just thought it was an odd way to construct a letter to people to tell them straight off that it's a 130-year program. For somebody who's 80, they're obviously not going to see the footpath. So I just thought I'd mention that because it was a little bit weird. Page 308.
Do you want to comment on that? No.
Oh, sure. No, it doesn't matter. That's fine. It was just a communication issue again. 308, what are the business assistance programs in light of what's happening in Lord's Place? I was just wondering what they actually are.
Some of the business assistance programs that have been rolled out in the past include helping those businesses get a online presence, and also with, if they're in the CBD, around helping them with renovating their building, if it's a heritage building or a building within the CBD area. Some of the other stuff we've put in is with some of the vacant places, is putting in some of our heritage posters or posters of Orange in yesteryear. But if there's any other, they're generally delivered through Director Rachel Robb's area. And if there's any others, you can correct me. Oh, the retail pods as well.
Okay, all right, yep.
The startup businesses.
And then the my last one is page 323, which is the top one on that page. Explore new ways for council to actively listen to community views. And it says we've exceeded our target. I'm just wondering what the new ways are. It says we've had 9 active Your Say engagements, but a Your Say engagement isn't really a new way. It's just a new survey. So I'm just wondering what that actually means, because we've given ourselves a green light for it.
So in this operational plan, so I'll just take one step back. In our delivery program, we were looking at our communications and our engagement practices, and so we tabled to council a number of our strategic documents, so our strategic policies, which looked at how we're managing social media, that looked at our engagement process, that looked at, how do we actually get in front of the game, and so that's when we started to explore how we could do that slightly differently. So using different channels, more channels. We've implemented a media monitoring system as well, so that we can actually be more aware of what the conversations are happening across the media. So there's a number of things that we've explored and implemented this operational plan to improve how we listen to the community, both from an engagement process, from a media monitoring process, and looking at different channels as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks. I've just got one question I had, and I'm happy it's probably one to take on notice, either circulate some info or even if staff think it's worth a briefing. Page 228, down the bottom, the one about looking at residential property lies within a 750 metre radius of the play facility. I'd be interested in some info about what spatial identification looks like at the moment and what the process is for identifying and prioritising new playgrounds.
Take that one on notice, thank you.
Councillor Peterson. Councillor Peterson. I'll come back to you. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of questions.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Councillor Peterson.
Couple of questions through you. Firstly, page 254, 5.1.3.2. Just wondering, do we have a reason why it just mentions that the Working Party re-establishment has been delayed? Do we have reasons for that? 254. Yeah. Second item. Assist with the re-establishment of the Orange Aboriginal Community Working Party. Do you want to take it on notice?
I might take it on notice. Yeah, I know that. I think there is information that could be passed around. We'll take that on notice.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Next one is page 279, item 7.2.1.1, the Develop and Analyse Council Full Operation Emissions Profile. Do we have an ETA? It says an external renewables consultant has been engaged and is in the process of finalising a report. Do we have an ETA on that? By the end of the year, end of financial year?
I think I sat in on that yesterday. Ian and I sat in on that yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
So that is now in final draft. That'll be out very shortly. I'd imagine SQ should get
excellent.
Good consultant.
Next one is page 281, the Tesla and Ampol EV infrastructure. Do we have an update on the install of those as well? Install new electric vehicle charging devices in the region. It says Tesla and Ampol are currently reviewing sites within the city.
And take it on notice.
Take it on notice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
By the way, on the matter arising, if I can, parks.
A couple of weeks.
There's a complete transition day on the 1st of showcasing of EV material. I'll circulate some info.
Okie dokie. Next one is page 318.
318.
The top box there, support startups to operate. I guess my question is, I mean, we've had these lovely looking cantina lights up there now since that area was redone. What was the initial intention for putting those lights there? Because I mean, how many events have we had there that have utilised that space, I guess?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we've used McNamara Lane for the reopening festival after COVID. So that was one event. We're also looking at McNamara Lane for another event in March, the Rainbow Festival, and as part of our economic development strategy to activate our spaces within the CBD, we're looking at an activation plan. So it makes it easy for people like businesses who say, I'd like to set up a night wine tasting market or a gin tasting market. So we've got that in our strategic direction, but 2 events to date, but there is a plan to see how we can activate the precinct, and with that we'll be reviewing those pods because they were used to assist micro businesses as startups with a 3-month leasing period, and so we have had them used, but is it the best use? I think it's worthwhile looking at that. So that could become something else when a pod's not being used, like an area that you can use as an event space as well for ticketing or serving, beverages. Yeah. So I'm looking at it from a multi-purpose use in that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And one last question. Page 328. The prepare and implement a customer journey model to upskill and assist staff with customer service inquiries. Happy to take it on notice as well, but I was just wondering whether staff have looked at, there are several councils, predominantly in Victoria, that have done it, but integrating with SnapSend Solve. So you've got Yarra Valley, Nillumbik, City of Port Phillip. They've all had great success in integrating. I'm just wondering whether that's something that council has looked at, because the app itself is really easy to use and it'd be great for people. Easy way to report stuff.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's already working, but I'm wondering, have we looked at more integration into the council systems?
I can answer that through you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a wonderful topic that I love to speak about because I had the privilege of working with Service New South Wales and transforming their customer service model. So as we start looking at our customer service model, yes, we're looking at those sorts of technologies. No, we haven't come up with a strategy or a platform, but definitely aware of those technologies and some of the benefits that we can get from them.
Thank you.
Councillor Peters.
Oh, hi. Thanks very much for that. Just the only question I have, I'll just try to bring up the goddamn thing. Was on page 323, 4.1.1.3, the media training for all councillors. It's a yellow sticker. If we haven't had media training, who should be asked for that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so come through to myself directly as director, and I can organise that through our comms and engagement team.
Happy to provide. Councillor Power. Oh, sorry, Councillor Peterson, was that it? Yep.
Yes.
Councillor Power.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just through you to the director, on page 256 and 257, probably just continuing on as what Councillor McDonald actually mentioned with the Community Working Party, the target for the that's 5.134, the Aboriginal Community Social Plan. I'm aware that it will expire after 10 years, in 2024, and what steps would the council be in supporting the rejuvenating of that community action plan? Because then, the community, Aboriginal community have approached me about how that can be a living document. Just taking on notice.
Taking on notice, yeah.
Cool.
Is that all?
That you're saying? Sorry,
That's
Mr.
it.
Mayor.
Any others? There being no others, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous. I'll move on to item 5.7. Statement of investments, moved by Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor Whitten. Any Councillor Kinghorn?
Yes, thank you. Page 358. I just reading where it says that they're having difficulty keeping the to get to their benchmark, which is fair enough. The logic's there, but the solution is to review the benchmark, which just seems to me like an odd thing to do. So, if you can't reach the benchmark, let's change the benchmark. I was wondering what other councils do. What we're doing, is that the same, like the benchmark that we set ourselves? It's obviously an issue for every council. So is there a standard thing that we should be looking at?
The CFO who's been patiently waiting online.
Last item.
Entire meeting for the last item. Veronica, how are you?
Good, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, councillors, each council sets their own benchmark. I've had a look at past history, and this 75 basis points above the cash rate has been set some time ago. Council, I'd have to take it on notice to review other councils of what they do. However, typical benchmarks could be the cash rate, the bank bill swap rate, the Ausbond bank bill index. So we could review those and get back to you.
Thank you. It just seems it would be sensible to have something that's realistic so that we're not never achieving it. But you just like it's something that there should be some guidance from the local government people on. So, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? There being no other questions, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous.
Could I just say something, sir, before we close? Just that this week here, Orange will celebrate their Orange NAIDOC Week. So we'll start Thursday and go right through for the whole week. So the Aboriginal community is really excited about that there. So I just thought I'd let everybody know that, yeah, so Orange, and thank the staff too, and Scotty. And just to give a big shout out to Christian Hunter, A lot of the services have been saying without her support, because there's a lot of new services there in relation to a lot of the programs that are made. We just want to say thank you for her amazing effort to get this ball running for this whole week. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Power. Councillor Miletto.
Matter rising, Mr. Mayor. I've just been asked by the good folk out at Spring Hill to pass on their sincere thanks to Orange City Council, in particular Ellie Bryce and Nick Redmond, for their assistance with getting the grounds slashed and mowed out there. This weekend they have a car show Sunday, which is a big event for Spring Hill. It gives them an opportunity to raise funds for a number of different groups out there. But they just asked me to pass on their thanks to council and to Ellie Bryce and Nick Redmond for their ongoing support and their quick attention to get things done out there. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, councillors, thank you for your attendance. And I'll close the meeting at 9:55. Thank you.